Thank you for joining ComForCare and At Your Side Home Care for this informative Dementia-Wise webinar, Creating a Joyous Holiday for an Individual with Dementia. Please let me welcome our host, Director of Special Populations, Dr. Deborah Beer.
Glad you could make it. Today we'll talk about the problem of holidays and dementia, the power of meaningful activities, choosing appropriate activities for the holidays, best practices for meaningful activities, making new holiday traditions, and additional resources in your local area. This webinar is for educational purposes only. The information provided is not intended to diagnose or serve as a substitute for actual medical advice. If you have concerns about your or your loved one's health or diagnosis, please seek help from a licensed medical professional. I'd like to point out that the words Alzheimer's and dementia mean different things, and they're often confused. Dementia is a group of symptoms that involve cognitive impairment, and there are many, many types of dementia. Alzheimer's is one of those types, and it's the one we hear the most because it's the most frequently diagnosed. All Alzheimer's is dementia, but not all dementia is Alzheimer's. Let's talk about the problem of dementia and holidays. Holidays are a frenzied time. They're very busy. They can feel overwhelming to people who don't have dementia, like you and I. But for someone with dementia, the season can be way out of control and can spiral into increased difficult behavior. There's so much going on. There's too much food, too many visitors, parties, gifts, activity, drink. And we all need to reduce the flood of stimuli, particularly for someone with dementia. You should also not bring your own feelings of being overwhelmed or busy or tired into caring for that person. Those need to be left at the door. Let's look at the power of meaningful activities. Activities are not just meant to be busy work. Meaningful activities are central to making a worthwhile life. The activities of daily living, such as dressing, bathing, feeding, they keep a person alive and safe, but it's only meaningful activities that give us a life worth living. People with dementia need meaningful activities as much as you and I do. In fact, they have often lost their sense of meaning and purpose in life due to their illness, and they need to be reconnected with those very basic human needs. The benefits of meaningful activities are enormous, and they're varied too. They increase the positive emotions and moods in the person having those meaningful activities. They provide important stimulation. They enhance the relationships of people working together. They decrease boredom, which often is the mother of difficult dementia behavior. They increase the person's sense of meaning and purpose, which is disturbed by their illness. They can improve memory and other types of functioning, such as language. Meaningful activities can also reduce people's perception of pain and lead to better health and improved immune system. Let's talk about choosing appropriate activities for the holidays. People with dementia are able to do activities successfully, but they need our help. They need our help in gearing them to what they still can do. They need fewer distractions in their environment, which means fewer people coming and going, less noise and activity and other things to distract them. And they need more supervision, and they need to have things kept simple for them. I recommend doing things together with step-by-step direction, not written directions, because often language is a problem, but doing a project together in parallel so that you're modeling what's the activity and they're following along. And here are some meaningful activities that are expressed by the level of functioning for the person with dementia. So on the left column, we have higher functioning people. They will be in the earlier part of their dementia. And on the left, people who are more advanced, not very advanced, that might need further customization. But here I have on right and left two similar projects, but each of them are geared for a person of different functioning. For example, the person with dementia might dictate a note card and then sign their name. They might not be able to write the card out themselves, but they can certainly participate by dictating a note. Person with lower functioning, perhaps the most they can do is pose with someone else for a photo, but they too can participate in that way. I don't recommend a huge family gathering for that holiday photo. I know that's traditional, but often people are overwhelmed by crowds, so one other person is good. The next one, sharing holiday memories and photos from the past with and pictures of friends and relatives. That would be a lot of fun. For a lower functioning person, looking at those holidays in the past, but they should go back to youth or early marriage because those will be more clear and firm memories for a person with more advanced dementia if they have memory loss. For making holiday goodies, pre-measure for the high-functioning person, pre-measure ingredients. They can add those and stir and maybe shape them. And for a lower-functioning person, they may not be able to do the shaping. They might need to maybe taste test instead. Higher functioning, stringing a garland with a simple pattern, and make sure it's a simple pattern, maybe an alternating pattern, or maybe just all the same object or a random pattern. And they need to be materials that are easy to use because they've lost some motor control. And a lower functioning person, maybe they would sort and arrange those materials and someone else would do the stringing if that's beyond their motor abilities. And then, of course, what's a holiday without music? Both higher and lower functioning people can participate and enjoy music. The higher functioning one may sing or dance or tap out rhythm to songs, and a lower functioning one might still be able to sing. Even people who have lost their ability to speak can often sing lyrics from old songs that they knew from the past. They still can understand rhythm to holiday songs. They may have mobility problems or fall risks that we maybe don't want them dancing up on their feet, but certainly they can dance in a chair. Let's look at some best practices for meaningful activities. It's very important to think of customizing activities for the individual. What's meaningful to you is not going to be meaningful to me unless it's been customized. And customization has to include for the ability of that person with dementia. If it's outside of their abilities, it's going to be frustrating and actually create difficult behavior. It also needs to be interesting and meaningful to them. And you want to go back and look at this person's life and their preferences to select and customize activities. I suggest no more than 20 minutes for any activity with someone with dementia. 30 if it's going really well, but I'd say 20 and fewer if it's not going well, to stop, not to wait for 20 minutes if things aren't going well. You never want to have a sense of hurry or time pressure. We got to hurry this up because we have to do this other thing. That's just going to create difficult behavior. Even if you don't voice it, if your body language speaks it, they will pick that up. They won't know what it's about, but it will disturb them and create difficulties, and it won't be a fun activity any longer. If the person is not engaging or enjoying, you want to stop, even if it's something you think that they'll like. Maybe it's just not the right time and they need to do something else. Maybe they're hungry, need to go to the bathroom, need a rest, and then go back to it later. And you do want to always allow for rest and naps and downtime. People with dementia are working very hard to function at whatever level they're at. Here are some important holiday activity do's and don'ts for a good holiday. Just do one thing at a time. And that means if you're using music as a background, it's going to be confusing and overwhelming to the person with dementia. If you're listening to music, just listen to music and enjoy that. And if you're doing an activity, turn off the background music. Have only one person talking at a time. When more than one person speaks, it becomes impossible for the person with dementia to follow the conversation. It becomes frustrating and overly stimulating. Don't have more than 2 or 3 visitors come at a time, and sometimes even less than that is optimal. Depends upon the person's reaction to the visitors and perhaps to the specific visitors who are coming. Do have someone who is dedicated to caring for the person with dementia when there's holiday gatherings of the family. That person should not be torn between guests and the kitchen and the person with dementia. They should be devoted only to the person's needs. When you rotate out someone and bring in a new person to supervise the person with dementia, that person should always understand dementia care, or could take a nice day and turn it into a difficult one otherwise. You want to do activities side by side with the person with dementia so that you can model the different steps of the activities while you're doing it together. Makes it much easier. Don't give more than one direction at a time. If you tell someone to get their hat and their coat, that's 2 directions actually for someone with dementia. They may not remember one of them or either of them if you give them more than one direction. So get your hat, and when they're done with that, get their coat. And do break all activities down into single, teeny little baby steps. It'll be much easier for the person with dementia to do sub-activities and sub-steps rather than giving them the whole project to do and figure out for themselves. Let's talk about making new holiday traditions. It's not fair for anyone to expect the holidays are going to always be the same once there's dementia in the family. The person with dementia cannot be expected to be more flexible or to behave differently than they do. They are trying their very hardest to function as well as they can. We as family and as caregivers, we have to be the ones to change and accommodate and adapt. If you have family members who cannot follow the new plan, they may need to make other arrangements for the holidays. So there are lots of ways to make new traditions and adapt old ones when there's dementia. I suggest taking a lot of digital photos, and together you can sort and review them with the person with dementia and tell stories and relive and share the memories together. Singing and music are always wonderful, but maybe a huge family get-together and singing together may be too overwhelming. I'd say no more than 5 or 7 people at a time for singing, and maybe fewer than that. And like any activity, 20 minutes really is the outer limit for what we can expect a person with dementia to be able to focus on. Maybe 30 minutes if it's going well, and perhaps fewer than 20. It depends upon the situation. Be prepared to be flexible. You want to make sure that there's a room away from the center of the party and away from the noise where that person with dementia can meet with maybe 1 to 3 people at a time and to have quiet downtime without any visitors. And the person with dementia, now they might eat the main meal beforehand and then maybe share dessert and with a few people in their room to the side. Being at the main table really may be looking for trouble and a difficult time, particularly in a multi-course meal that lasts more than that 20 minutes of attention span. Let's look at some additional resources in your local community. If you're a family member of someone with dementia or a healthcare professional who's managing dementia care, caregivers, or families with dementia, our offices can assist with strategies and solutions for your dementia care challenges. Contact your local ComForCare or at your site office for information about our dementia care services. And if you'd like to know more about Dementia-Wise and learn more aspects of dementia care, there are many features that we haven't talked about in this program. Look for Dementia-Wise presentations and family caregiver support groups in your area. You can also sign up for free information about dementia care and other topics by visiting ComForCare.com or at your site HomeCare.com. Thank you so much for joining us and have a happy holidays.